Hello and welcome back to another video here in the Lego room. I hope you're well. It's been a little bit of time since I have done a mock, and I wanted to sort of do a mock that was built around a set that I had and have had for some time. This is a set that I had during lockdown. It was stuffed away in a box, and as you'll be able to see, I have moved it from house to house but never actually displayed it. It is of course the Duel on Nabbo, which came out prior to COVID 5 or 6 years ago now, and this is a set that I really like the look of when it came out. Three figures, that iconic scene, it reminds me of being a kid in the cinema watching this particular scene, and it's one that I want to kind of see if I can give the diorama treatment to. So with that being said, I am going to sort of grab the Nabbo set from out of the darkness that is the backlog and sets that have been sort of put away and dismantled, and bring it back out, see if we can dust it down, see if we can change it ever so slightly and bring the whole thing back to life. Now, there's one piece in the back of my mind when I put this on my list of ideas, and I remember outsourcing the video a couple of weeks ago as to what the next thing should be, and received some really lovely comments, and I decided that this was going to be the next thing. And the piece in mind was this one here, which already has a sticker on it, and to create that circle sort of space at the very end of the Phantom Menace, or at least the back of it, I was going to need more than just this one piece. So with that in mind, I decided to go to Bricklink and get myself another one of these curved grey pieces. I also went and, if I can pull it out of the envelope here, went and got the sticker as well, so that we could match them up and at least have two at the very back. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a little bit of a play around with the set. There's a lot of little Technic pieces in it that I can remember, and we'll have to see whether they'll stay as part of the structure of it as we move forward, because I don't necessarily want this to have playability in a Technic kind of structure and moving the ray shields around that they get trapped in between. I'm not too interested in that sort of play side of it. I kind of want to have it as a display piece. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to sort of display it. In the back of my mind, what I want to do is potentially have Qui-Gon down on the side with his saber next to him, and have Maul and Obi-Wan either going at it, or have Obi-Wan hanging in the balance, as it were, and Maul over the top of him. I haven't quite decided which of those two is a better idea. I guess I will find out as we build this and as we put the structure of it together. So let's get on with it. Let's have a little look at playing around with that original set from a couple of years ago, and then we'll look at actually putting the base plate down for it and putting that black diorama trim around it. But stay tuned, and if you don't want to see the process and you just want to see the end result, assuming that this video makes it to the light of day and we actually do it successfully, do skip ahead to the end of it to find out the end result. But if you want to see the process like I did with the previous 330-second video, stick around. I'm sure we're going to hit some trial and error along the way. And I thought what better to do than to put Phantom Menace on in the background, and particularly get a good look at that final closing scene between Obi-Wan and Maul, and just how I was going to sort of do the circular elements of the build, and whether or not I was going to divide Obi-Wan up from Maul and have everybody separated. And I certainly took some inspiration from that. And as you can see, if you weren't watching the Phantom Menace in the corner, I have started to make some progress and pull a lot of the Technic pieces that I didn't want in there out. And we've also decided on the size of the plating that needs to go underneath it to give it that diorama feel and finish. And as you can see, I have started to put these circular pieces to hold it in the very bottom. It gives it quite a grand feel. It also reminds me of the film. Everything's kind of circular in those Duel of the Fates moments. And the circular pieces with the stickers on, I can only really have the two of them showing on either corner. If I was to do all four as a circle, you wouldn't be able to see into the scene. It would defeat the point of doing a diorama. The one thing I need to do next is tackle those Technic pins. I need to replace all of those with a real brick and cover up the hole at the very bottom that Maul clearly crawls out of to survive in the Clone Wars. So let's get at it. And like doing a mock normally, I have to go backwards to go forwards, and sometimes feels as though I'm not really making any progress at all, but I had to pull apart the whole scene in order to get the technique out and relayer the whole thing with bricks. So that is night one, and I don't love where we're at, to be totally honest, but the base structure is there, and the technique's been pulled out and replaced with bricks, and you can see what I've done there with the trans element to try and keep Obi-Wan away from Maul and Qui-Gon, and I've tried to retain some of the original elements there with the little pink trans bit at the very bottom there, and we've tried to pull the base plate apart, and I'm going to have to find a new way of doing the base plate tomorrow. And indeed, that was the first thing I got on with the next day, which was to create a new base plate that would actually not only fit the structure of the build, but also integrate it into the base rather than it being on top of a mills plated system, as it were. I wanted to integrate these circular pieces in there, and I did a pretty good job with it. We also then did some more work that you won't see until a few seconds' time. Okay, so what I wanted to do was show you the original image that you would get, the stock image of this set from half a dozen years ago now, and just I wasn't sure how much difference I'd made to it and how much I'd changed it. But when I actually look at the original image, which should be on screen, then you can actually see the difference that I've made. Let's show you what we have done with it. So yeah, as you can see, you've got the tiled off effect, and what I've done is I've tried to use different coloured tiles. So you've also got the black in there as well, and that original circular piece that I spoke about earlier on, that is now built into the base of the plate, and you've got the black trim all the way around along with the grey. I think it looks very nice. It looks very clean, very diorama-esque, with a little bit of a twist there, not all black, but with some grey as well. And that is because there is a mixture of grey and black built into this build. As I raise the camera up, you can see Obi-Wan is halted by the shields on either side, and I'm pretty pleased with that. If I had a bit more space, I would have given maybe a bit more thought to the shield, but the trans blue pieces really do get across the point that I'm trying to make. At the very back, you can see the two sticker elements that I did use there, that extra sticker piece that I got, and you've also got a clear piece as well, which is making the camera struggle to focus at the very back there. And you've got the pit with Maul, and I thought this was probably the best pose to get it in. You could separate Obi-Wan and not everyone's cramped, and you've got Qui-Gon on the deck there, and Maul stood over him. I think that is pretty clear what is going on, and yeah, for me, it kind of does the scene justice. With a little bit more time and a little bit more space and parts, maybe we would have come up with something a little bit more intricate. It's a hard one to do because in reality, I would probably have those curved elements on all four sides, but of course that would enclose the space and it wouldn't feel like a diorama. You wouldn't be able to see in and see what is going on. So unfortunately, only half of the circle can be closed off. Fairly pleased with it. It's certainly not my best project, I'm thoroughly aware of that, but it will go in the space next to some of this year's Diorama Moc works of art that I've done, and yeah, I've already got an idea for the next one. The next one will be out in a couple of weeks time, and it includes, if I can grab it off camera, the escape pod from about 10 years ago, and I've got a really fun design for that, and that'll come out in a week or two's time. I've already started the preliminary work of getting that done. Let's get it up on the shelf. And as I move this, I am reminded of the idea I had earlier, which was to get another sticker and put it where that clear piece is, and that might be something you see on the channel in the near future. But for now, it's right next to the other mocks from earlier in the month. You've got the Maul versus Qui-Gon, Fight for Anakin, and the 332nd. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching it. Sincerely appreciated. Stay tuned for more LEGO Star Wars coming up in the very near future.